Ladies and gentlemen, it is time for a brand new thing that you guys have been waiting for. I've been pumping this thing up for a very long time. My name is Fire Blaster, and this is going to be a brand new series that's going to let you explore all the ins and the outs of some of your favorite personalities in esports. That includes TOs, players, and obviously, some controversial people possibly down the line, but it's one of those things. My name's Fire Blaster, and I'm going to be the one that's going to be taking you through this whole journey, and this debut of this. Obviously, it's going to be a work in progress, one of those things. We're going to try to knock out kinks and stuff. So what we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to go ahead and bring in our first guest for this show. This guest is kind of controversial on Twitter. We're going to go ahead and bring him in, and then we're going to go ahead and introduce him. So let's get this started. You there?
Oh,
All
hey,
right, guys.
Firebuster.
Hey. So today's very special guest, obviously, is one of the people that is known on Twitter for being a very, opinionated person. This person is known for being arguably one of the best players in Midwest, if not one of the best players in general, just in the United States for his character, and is also known for being the vocal person that is behind talking crap on Europe. Please help me in welcoming TonyZtank. Welcome to the show.
Hey, Fireblaster. Thank you for having me, man. Does it qualify as talking crap on Europe if everything I say is true?
No, it's just one of those things, man. Like, try to, get a good introduction for everybody once we get them on the show. Is one of those things. Like, we want you to establish yourself. What this platform's for is to give you that opportunity to speak on your behalf on what you think on certain things, and kind of explore, the overall thing about it. But first, before we get started, I'm gonna go ahead and send you some stuff, Tony. So we can go ahead and
Yeah.
get some friendlies, so we can get some things going on the back end.
All right, I'm gonna be playing on a pro controller today because I accidentally left my adapter in Oklahoma. So.
Nice. I'm gonna be playing on Pro Controller as well. So we're gonna play some friendlies. I'm gonna shoot him some questions. We're gonna try to make this as chill as possible. Like I said, this is gonna give you the opportunity to go ahead and get this thing rolling. So while you're getting the information for this this arena itself, so let's go ahead and start. Where did your esports career start? Like, in general, what we're looking for is your inspiration, what region you hail from, and what in general drives you as a player to get where you've gotten to this point.
So my first ever tournament was back in January 2019, so like two and a half years ago, and that was the weekly before Hypertension Ultimate. And I went 1-2. I lost to Larry Lur in winners, and then I think some Pokemon trainer in losers. And so that's like where I first started. I wanted to go to tournaments before that point. I never could because I was during Smash 4, I was like 13, 14,
Right.
and my parents didn't approve of me going to those, which in hindsight makes a lot of sense.
Right.
So
in hindsight.
yes, my first ever was January 2019.
Which is
And
kind
it
of
was a good tournament.
Which is kind of funny. So you guys don't know me that well. Like, obviously, you guys know that I play Smash Brothers. Obviously, it's one of those things that I do in my spare time as well. And that's why I'm trying to bring you guys more opportunities with getting to know casters and players and stuff. Me and Tony actually played at that tournament, which is funny. He was my round 1. And I had no idea who this Sonic player was. Nobody actually knew who he was, where he came from, all that stuff. Like, he would just showed up out of nowhere, and everybody's like, "Who's this? Who's this Sonic player?" And from there, he kind of just making waves. So, what region are you out of? Obviously, I know where you're out of, but what region are you from, and who gets to call you their home?
Right now, I compete in Nebraska mainly, but I also travel a lot whenever I can. So
Okay.
I'm number one in Nebraska, but technically I live in Iowa. I'm like right on the border. So like Iowa events are about, I'd say like 2 hours away because they're all in Des Moines, and Omaha is like 30 minutes.
Okay,
So I just travel there instead.
that's nice. That's nice. Traveling is definitely one of those things for newer players that you don't see that often because like they are too intimidated. They don't think they're ready, or they don't think that they have the stuff that would be able to compete with some of these players who are playing for years on end. So it's awesome to see that you only have basically 2 years if you want to count the COVID 2 years in your belt, and then obviously, you're getting stuff together. In that short period of time, you became known as your number one in Nebraska. So, if in your opinion, if you're known for something in particular, throughout your career, what would you say you're known for?
More recently, it's been the stuff with Europe. Whenever I like I'll just like meme on Twitter or something,
Right.
and Europe will get upset. Um, but when I first started out, I was definitely just known as the guy who plays Sonic and presses B a lot. And like I had this like gimmick when I went to some of my first ever out of state tournaments, where I brought like a huge jug of water because you should always be drinking water when you're at events.
Right.
It's actually really broken. And so I had this like huge, like, over a gallon amount of water bottle. And what would happen is I would label it B button juice. And I just drink it, and people would be like, "What are you drinking?" I'm like, "Oh, this is my B button juice." So like at Iconic Clash, which was a tournament series in South Dakota a couple years ago, that was mainly what I was known for. And
Okay.
like this recent development with Europe only started maybe like less than a year, I'd say.
That's cool. Do you know that you actually have something that you're becoming iconic with? Because that's one thing that a lot of people don't realize in time is that when you become a player and you're trying to become that next level, those PGR players, that kind of thing. A lot of
Yeah,
times
your
people,
identity changes.
right, people don't realize that you have to have that stepping stone in order to get to that point. And it's awesome that you found what your particular stepping stone was because it's one of those things uh we want to do. Give me a second. I'm actually going to do something different. I think I'm going to make you play an amiibo. Make it a lot
That's
easier.
no problem. Yeah, it's one of those things where it's like you don't plan for it to happen. It just kind of occurs as you show up to more and more events.
Right.
So like one of my first tournaments or whatever, I was just known as the guy that presses B, and now like I'm just known as the guy that this is Europe.
Right.
I'm
Pisses
also
off
known
Europe.
like more. I'm also known for like being a top Sonic, but like I'm more proud of the Europe.
Oh, I guess it's not letting me. I must have not set up the arena properly, but that's all right. We're just gonna have. I'm just gonna go to random, and we're gonna go from there. And I'll just remember to do that next time to set it up for an amiibo. Um, so my next question for you is: if you were known, I already asked that one. Who are some of your biggest rivals or mentors that have helped shape your career up to this point? Anybody particular? If you feel like they've influenced you in any particular way, who are those?
Calling me and Tanner rivals, I think, would be a very big like diss on Tanner's part because it's not so much a rivalry as he just like kicks my butt a lot, and it just forces me to learn.
So
So
I would say then in that situation, then he's more of a mentor, if anything, than not so much of a rivalry. It's more one-sided. But if he's driving you to get better, then I would say it's probably more of a like not a rivalry, but a mentorship in that
yeah,
aspect.
and that was definitely a lot more before he moved away. I'd say like my biggest goals were like getting number one in the state, and obviously when he was still here, like that he was like in my way basically, and so I had to like work for it. But like like first starting out, it was just random people in bracket, you know. Like one of my first ever for sure was Spanky J, the Mario. He's a local Mario for those people who don't know. He's good. He was good, and like he also kind of stopped attending, but he was like definitely one of the first. There was also a Pokemon trainer named Jukitsu, and like he beat me at like 3 tournaments in a row one time, and I'm like, damn, I have like a Pokemon trainer problem apparently, and the stuff like that. Nowadays, it's probably Scar or Alec from Iowa is the closest I'd say I have to a rival. Because like he goes to a lot of tournaments and we always like end up playing, I'd say.
That's fair. I mean, obviously, Scar is known for, in his own right, being the #2 in Iowa. Because
Yeah.
Skittles moving to that region is definitely one of those things I could see. And obviously, Scar having some notable, accomplishments in his own right is one of those things. So, that's good. You see top players from different regions, go ahead and having a rivalry like that. My next question for you is kind of like one of those dream scenarios. So, you are at a tournament, right? And
Oh,
it's
I'm timing him out.
whatever tournament you're at. Let's just say you get to pick the tournament. You get to pick, the situation, if it's losers, if it's winners, or whatever. But you get to face that one person that you wanted to face for, let's say, as long as you wanted to face him. Who is that person, and why is that person the person you want to face?
It's gotta be Gluttony in like grands of like some European tournament. I'd say that's probably like the best timeline, just because like the storyline is all there, you know. Like that might be the most viewed set in like Smash history if I fought Gluttony in grands of some European tournament, because like it's just a good storyline. I've been talking about Europe for over a year probably at this point.
Hmm.
I can't remember the exact timeline, but around that, and just having the opportunity to play him at like a big tournament
Hmm.
and just like silence all the haters. That's got to be the dream.
That's fair. That's a fair outtake. So, I'm obviously, me and you've known each other for a very long time at this point, basically since you entered the scene. But I really didn't catch why the issue was with the whole European situation. Can you explain that a little bit to me so me and the viewers kind of get the idea of what was going on with that?
Yeah. So basically, there is some PG Stats article that came out a while ago when it's like Gluttony hasn't lost or like hasn't like dropped a set or lost a tournament for like 12 straight months or like 7 months or like 12 tournaments or something like that. And I'm like, I saw that and I'm like, damn, that's like kind of sad because their entire continent is getting farmed by one player who like I wouldn't say is bad, but like I would expect some competition as long as they're not like Leo, you know.
Right, that's fair. Because I mean,
And so
obvious.
I said I think it's kind of sad that an entire continent is getting farmed by one guy who I don't think is that good. And like it came off as harsh, and it came off as like a shot to Gluttony, when really it was just a shot at Europe. And people took that personally. I'm like, maybe you shouldn't be losing.
That's fair. That's fair. I can see where like people would get upset possibly with just how your demeanor can be online, because you really can't come across as a particular situation on what's going on. So I could definitely see that. Uh, you know, and being crazy situation. So, in all honesty, where do you see yourself in the next year? I would say year and a half is typically the, uh, you know, the time frame you want to look at for anything is like that year and a half mark. Where do you see yourself going at that point? Like, are you gonna see yourself not playing no more? Are you gonna see yourself becoming a commentator? Like, what kind of thing are you looking to be doing in that next year and a half?
Well, right now, I'm kind of indecisive on majors.
Hmm.
So and also in the spring, or in the fall, I'm signing up to become take pre-med courses at UNO, which is like a college in Nebraska. And so I wanna like take some time to like focus on that, but at the same time, I'm also like, I don't think I'm gonna stop playing the game anytime soon
That's fair.
because first of all, it's like, I want to say a good source of money, but like one where it's like I can, I might as well, like if I'm good at it, might as well like use it for monetary gain.
Right, like something to do in your spare time that, if you're not getting taken up by school, then, it's one of those things.
Yeah, like at the Oklahoma tournament I just went to, I only went to that because it had a pot bonus.
Which was awesome, by the way, that you're shouting that out. That's home run that happened
Home run
at,
search content. Yeah, it was
right,
a charity event.
which is awesome because, if we get any chance to support anybody, that's awesome in its own right. So kudos to the Oklahoma guys in Tulsa for running that event because, we got to be able to give back when we get the chance to. It helps expand, the reach of our scene altogether.
Yeah, I'm biased because I won, but it was honestly like one of the best tournaments I've ever attended. It was like actually super sick. And it like being a charity just makes it that much better.
If I remember correctly in looking at bracket, because I didn't go to that event, you got sent to losers, didn't you?
Yeah, I got sent by Psycho Maiko, who's a Samus player. I'm not sure where from, but he got 13th, I believe, at Let's Make Big Moves. So he's no slouch, but like going into it, I had like no idea who he was. I never heard of him. And, like one of my friends on Twitter messaged me like, "Hey yo, watch out for Psycho Maiko. You play him in semis because he's the 4th seed, and he got 13th at Let's Make Big Moves." And I'm like, okay, whatever. And then I lost. So
Right.
I'm like, oh shit.
Right. Yeah, they definitely one of those things like you don't expect certain players to come out of, certain areas to be able to make those kind of upsets on you. And it's definitely good stuff to you to have that mentality to go ahead and when you get sent to losers, to go ahead and, you know, bring it back through losers. That's definitely
Yeah.
a hard thing to do. A lot of
The
players,
losers run was easy by no means.
right.
So I was lucky because it was a nice stage. Very good. I was lucky because it wasn't a very long losers run because I lost in winners top 8. So I only played like maybe like 2, 3 matches or like 4 or 5 matches in losers.
Oh, okay.
So I played Gamer Dog, who's in Kansas. He ended up beating Justice that tournament. Who's Kansas Politana, and he's good, but he like played Mario. He plays Mario and Young Link, and like both of those matchups are either like bad for the character or I have a lot of experience with him. And then he went Young Link, game 2 and 3. So like it was a 3-0, but like it wasn't as convincing as I would hope, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And then after that, I believe it was a really good, yeah, it was a really good Rob, who I forgot the name of,
Hmm.
but like that went to game 5, and I probably almost like should have lost if you think about it.
That's fair. That's fair. And so when you got back to Grands on that tournament, like, did you had to face the Samus player again, didn't you?
Psycho Maiko, yeah,
Yeah.
and it was 3-1 for the first set, and then game 5 the second, and I ended up winning both. But again, it was one of those things where it's like I definitely thought I was going to lose at certain points. Like I was always up in both of the sets. Like going into it, like I believe I was up 2-0 in set 1, and then he won, and then I won, and then the final set I think I was also up 2-0 when he almost reversed 3-0'd. It's
Ooh.
like going into it,
Mhm.
he just adapted really well, and like he's just a good player, but we clutch up, I guess.
That's fair. That's fair. Yeah, I think I know the person you're talking about. I think they're from Pennsylvania, if I'm not mistaken. But
Like a Michael or the Rob?
the Samus player, but
Yeah, okay.
The Rob player I believe is from Oklahoma, but if it's the one I'm thinking it is, but it's one of those things like you don't want to speculate unless you're looking at bracket. So in your like, do you feel in your perspective like how do you feel that the Smash scene is going all together? Do you feel like there are things that can be changed? Do you feel like there are improvements that can be done? Anything like that that you feel as a player's perspective that we could be doing different?
The main like big thing is I just want like a unified stage list
Hmm.
for everything. You know, that's like a really big concern. It's like because all these majors just have like different stage lists for some reason, and like I think the best stage list is pretty obvious, but like obviously some people disagree. I think we should just be doing like 3 bands, you know, no DSR. But
Hmm.
like the tournament in Oklahoma had like TSR or something, which is you can't go back to the last stage you counterpicked and won on. It's
Oh.
like modified DSR is like it's workable,
Mhm.
but like it's it's still bad. And I just think like a unified stage list is the way to go.
That's fair. That's fair.
Sure.
So
Other than that, though, no, I really don't care.
that's
That's
fair.
about it. Because it's like I don't really speak for a lot of the Smash community. I don't really like a lot of the Smash community. Like some people are just straight up weird or like antisocial, and I'm just like, okay, that's cool. I just came here to play the game, and some people are like, okay, but like do this, and I'm like, I don't want to.
Yeah, that's fair. You do your own thing, you want to, be your own person and not have to be part of the collective if you don't want to be part of the collective.
Yeah, some
So,
people just need to like get a life outside of Smash is like the best way to put it, to be honest.
that's completely fair. So what we're gonna go ahead and do is we've got two more kind of segments that we're gonna do on this show before we wrap things up. So the first thing we're gonna do is I'm gonna ask you the final question that I'm gonna ask you, and then we will go ahead and pass it off to our viewers. They will get the chance to have a Q&A for about 5 minutes. After that, then we will go ahead and call it. So in the last question that I have for you, right, and it's kind of like the key point of this whole thing. So this is called the crowning achievement, right? This whole thing is about the players, the situations, the TOs, the commentators. This is the opportunity to go ahead and say it's kind of a fun question. What is your crowning achievement up to this point, and why do you feel it's like your crown up to this point? Like why is it, your crowning achievement? Why is it special to you? And why would you say that's the top where you've been at up to this point?
Like, what's my most proud thing that I've done in Smash?
Basically, essentially, that's what it is. It's like your crowning achievement. If you think like K. Rool, right, who has the crown on top of his head, he obviously has lots of pride in that thing because it's his number one neutral tool in this game. What is your crowning achievement?
Hmm. Gosh, that's a tough question. I'm just so amazing at everything I do that I just no, I'm joking. Um, I think number one in Nebraska is really cool, but it lost some of its luster when Skittles moved out, and now like Nebraska has gotten weaker a lot. Like a lot of the players, Skilly, Obsidian, like a lot of the good players have either like moved away or they just like are inactive,
Yeah.
and so like it used to be cool, but now it's just like a freebie. So
So in other words, you're saying that
maybe
you're proud of that moment, but you feel like that Nebraska needs to
yeah.
step it up as a state. Is that what you're saying?
I used to be proud of it, but now that now that I know, like in comparison to other states, like it's not as difficult, so it's not like as
Hmm.
cool. And
Okay.
it has to be like some tournament placement probably. Probably yeah, I think I'm probably ninth at Port Priority.
Yeah, I was gonna say some of the things that I have for you is obviously ninth at port priority, just missing that top 8 spot, losing in winners, making a slight losers run, and then falling to Chag in a very very crucial, very tight set, last hit, last stock situation. Definitely one of those things. Obviously. The many times you've come to Kansas and beaten some of Kansas's best players, and just making it look like, as it seemed, that you were like just an honorary Kansas player was another thing.
They put me as number 1 on their PR, which I thought was like, or as number 2, or I can't speak, as number 0 on their PR, which I thought was really cool.
Yeah, and then like obviously, you had a decent run at Low Tide City last year. You had a great run. You beat some great players getting to that point. And that's another thing that I didn't bring up, and I think would be a great thing. What would be your biggest notable win in Smash Brothers up to this point?
It's probably Meister at Ursa Minor 4, which was it was the local before Frostbite, which he got second at. That's definitely like my best win in terms of like PGR contention is Meister right before that tournament. Yeah, it just felt better afterwards because like he got second at Frostbite, so like he was playing good and I still beat him,
Right.
and so I was proud of that. Other than that, maybe Fatality, maybe Leon the Bowser.
Didn't you beat Leon
Mm.
and Fatality at the same tournament, if I'm
Yeah,
correct?
it was Riptide. I was gonna put that as my proudest achievement. Uh, no, it probably is that. It's just like I felt I could have gone so much further in that bracket, but I ended up losing to someone who I don't think I should have lost to.
That's fair. That's one of those
Well,
things.
actually, that's maybe not the right wording. Someone I could have beat. I probably deserved to lose, but at the same time, I'm like, I didn't want to, obviously.
Right. You obviously, your nerves or something like inputs didn't come out properly or something along those lines that just
I
made it
was
so
just
you weren't optimally
playing.
winning.
Yeah, I was just playing off kilter.
That's
Thinking
fair.
back to it, like I definitely made some mistakes that I should have cleaned up.
That's fair. And
Like
so,
I don't want to like John though and be like, oh, I was misinputting. Where it's like, it's mainly just like, I got outplayed.
yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Uh, so the last section we're gonna go ahead and do is we're gonna go ahead and open up to our Twitch streamer questions. It's one of those things I'm gonna go ahead and bring up. If anybody has any kind of questions or things that they want to bring up with Tony, it is a great time to do it. I want to make this like kind of like an open forum. If you guys have any questions in chat, now's the time to go ahead and open that. We're gonna leave that open for about 3 minutes, and we're just gonna go ahead and keep playing while we're waiting for some questions to come in or whatever. If there is no questions, then we'll call it.
That won't kill, right? Oh, close. Don't play Blitz. Okay, good.
Oh man. But
Let's
yeah.
see, what else could there be?
Well.
My first breakout tournament, which was like one I was really proud of at the time, and like I'm still proud of, but like in light of other achievements, it's not as impressive as some of the other stuff I've done, but it's definitely like I'm fondly remembering it was Domapalooza, which was a tournament in Madison, South Dakota, where I ended up like that was my first ever like breakout tournament. I ended up getting third. I got doubly eliminated by Skittles, and I beat like Welfare Pickles. I beat I think some good Mega Man from South Dakota. I don't think it was Crows though.
Oh, okay.
It was like one of those tournaments where I'm like, wow, this is I made it basically.
Right.
Is a good way to put it. Like this is what I've been working towards.
Right.
It's like it's the same feeling that I had for Riptide, just on a bigger scale, because it was one of those things where it's like no one was expecting it at the time, but like in my heart of hearts, I knew I could do this if I like dedicated myself. And so it's just nice to have that like reassurance that, you know, I did it.
Yeah, I feel you there. I feel you there. A lot of times people, come in with expectations of this, and this, and when you don't get, those expectations against you, it's one of those things that kind of like, it's kind of like fuck the haters kind of thing. Like, I feel you. So, it's definitely one of those things.
Expectations are a really dangerous thing to go into a tournament. Like, you know, a good example of that is I just got farmed by Psycho Maiko in winners of the Oklahoma tournament. You know, I was expecting like it to be a kind of free bracket because I hadn't heard of anyone there. Like my biggest worry going into it was I was gonna lose to Justice. You know, and
Right.
Justice is like a good player. Like if I lost to him, I'd be really surprised. Or like, you know, Cannon Red, a Jigglypuff, and like I wasn't really considering anyone else, and because of that, you know,
Right.
I want to say I wasn't taking it seriously, but it definitely hurt when I lost for sure. You know, it's one of those things where it's like, damn, I got farmed. You
Right.
know, gotta step it up. And then like it really would have sucked if I lost because my expectations, and then I ended up like not winning, and like I lost to one of those people on losers. You know, it wouldn't have been too bad if I lost to Psycho Maiko again in Grands, because I'm like, you know what, he beat me and he's a good player. You know, 13th. Let's make big moves. But if I would have lost to, like, you know, Gamer Dog or Cannon Red or the Rob player, I would have been like, damn, that really sucks because you know I wanted to win really badly.
That's fair. I think that's a good valid point, that, you felt like you could win it. You had an expectation that coming into that you were going to win it, and, you definitely
Yeah,
weren't.
and it wasn't like just winning it. It was like I was expecting to basically farm it. You know, I was expecting to like not drop a game,
That's,
and like you know, not only dropping a game to multiple people, but
mhm.
like losing an entire set. You know, it really woke me up. Is a good way to put it.
Yeah, being woke happens. Definitely understand that. Uh, so yeah, looks like we don't have any questions in the Twitch chat. So we're gonna play this last game out, and then we're gonna go ahead and we'll do our sign off. So I think, you know, this being the first episode is great because you're one of the people that I was trying to get on for this because it's something that I've been trying to put together for a while. I just didn't know who I should get when terms of personalities, players, stuff like that. And you're one of the first people that came to my mind because one, you're a good player. Obviously, you're number one in your state, right? You're a great player regionally in Midwest, and you know how to play the game properly. And also is like you're just that influence on the Twitter at this point is just out of this world at this point with how mad Europe gets over like how you play sometimes and how like controversial you are towards them. They don't appreciate that, and that's another reason why I wanted to bring you on was because I want to be able to give opportunities for people to explain what's going on in the situations that are going on in our community. And this gave me like that opportunity, to just bring somebody on that would, be controversial, not super big, like yet. I'm not saying you won't, but not super big yet. But you have that potential to be at that PGR level, if not, at least
I'd
be in
say
contention.
I probably am PGR, but you know a lot of the shit talk I give on Europe is probably, or like a lot of the hate I receive from Europe is probably deserved. You know, like I shouldn't be taking pot shots, but at the same time they shouldn't be losing to the same player for 12 years or, or however long the PG Stats article was. But you know, like I don't know. One thing people have to realize is that like not all of it is serious.
Right.
You know, sometimes I just shit post and play into the meme. Like, I made a tweet a while back where it's like, damn, Leo got like third at like a 16-man local or whatever, and it was Summit or whatever, and people got a little upset at me, like you wouldn't even make Summit. I'm like, calm down.
I mean, obviously we have our perspectives on how that whole situation with Summit goes. So I personally think that Summit's a great tournament and all, but I think it's personally a waste of time that you could use that money for that player and help them fund tournaments for like 2 or 3 years, if not more. But it's one of those things. Uh,
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna campaign for Summit whenever the next one gets announced. I think I'll make it, and I also think the potential of having me and Gluttony in the same bracket would be really exciting.
right.
Like you asked me earlier about if I could organize a tournament, like who would I want to fight and where. I said Gluttony at a European major. The next best thing might be me versus Gluttony at Summit. And
Yeah,
I think that's a moment I'm going to be looking forward to for a while. And
Here
if
in
it
the playoff
happens, it
position,
happens.
this match was
definitely
all
would
about
be
seeding.
like the
Texas
clash
State,
of
they had their time in the sun with a round 11
morality, all of Europe versus Midwest kind of thing, because obviously you're one of the best players in Midwest, and it would be like us versus the world kind of thing with when it was, with like who is that? I'm trying to think of their name. The Lavish. That's the person I was thinking of. That made Summit here previously for the Midwest.
Yeah, I don't watch a lot of Smash tournaments. I don't really consume Smash content because, like I said, I think the scene is a little cringe.
Hmm.
But it's nice to be like a part of the community nonetheless.
Yeah, and I would say regardless of your standpoint on where you stand or how you feel about the community, you're definitely a welcome body. At least I welcome you at this point, and I know a lot of
At
other
least,
people
at
in the
least on some
community.
continents, right?
Right? Yeah. So do you have anything you want to plug? This will give you that opportunity, your socials or anything like that.
Nah, it's just TonyZtank on everything. So I try not to engage with the Smash community too often, but sometimes I post good tweets. But other than that, no, that's it.
That's fair. So I want to
If
thank
you want to find me, you know where.
Right. I want to thank you again, Tony, for showing up to this. This was a great opportunity to explore your origins, where you came from and that sort of thing. So we want to thank you for being on the Crowning Achievement and being the debut episode. We appreciate that and look forward to seeing you around in the Smash community and any elsewhere.
Yeah, thank you, man. It was awesome having you, and I hope this series grows. I think what you're doing here is really great.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much. But yeah, have a nice rest of your evening, and we'll look forward to talking to you soon.
You too, man.
Alright guys, so that's going to be it for the debut episode of the Crowning Achievement. Greatly appreciate your guys' time and everything for coming through. This full length episode is gonna be posted on YouTube. All of the information is gonna be posted down in the on the Twitch page. Would love if you guys gave me a follow on Twitter. It's Fireblaster65. If you guys enjoyed this episode, we are gonna be doing these 1 or 2 a week, possibly 2 a day. We haven't figured that part out. Our next person that's going to be on the show is one of our growing personalities in the community. I'm not going to say exactly who yet, but they are definitely growing in popularity. So if you want to see that episode, that will be debuting tomorrow at 6 o'clock Central Time again. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you all. If you guys enjoyed this, go ahead and give me a follow on YouTube at Fireblaster65. It's not exactly Fireblaster65 yet because I gotta get 100 subscribers before we can get that URL. So if you can give me a subscribe, you'd be greatly appreciated. We hope you had fun. Put that crown back on top of your head and have yourself a nice rest of your night.